Hello, my name is Chyon. I will share design approaches to examining the interrelationship between objects, environments, and people to foster more responsible design through teaching an MFA Industrial Design Studio at Parsons School of Design. As Daniel Whale of Pentagram says in his video Time Machines, designing is a sensorial and rational experience. While humans' rationality enables us to build a more sustainable future, our sensoriality desires richer experiences in our daily living. For example, we can light our space with highly energy efficient LED bulbs. However, it is hard to give up a crackling fireplace, flickering candlelight, and even the warm color of incandescent bulbs, despite the fact that we are aware of the availability of technologies that are better at saving energy and polluting the environment less. This is because our values and behaviors are not only shaped by the logic of problem solving technologies, but also constructed by sensorial and emotional experiences enabled by them. Since the Brundtland Commission released its report in 1987, which defined sustainable development, there has been an incredible number of innovations in materials and systems. For example, lightweight composites, biodegradable plastics, and extracting organic matter from unsorted household waste all serves to contribute to less environmental pollution. Some objects are thoughtfully designed to cycle back to manufacturing plants, sharing, or recycling facilities. We can measure the environmental impact of products through assessing their entire life cycle, thereby assisting designers to making more educated choices. Yet, Global E-Waste Monitor report in 2017 foresaw that the waste would continue to increase by a 17% by 2021 in the domestic waste stream due to rising income, the falling prices of goods, and encouraging the early replacement of things. The amount of recycling of valuable and scarce resources remain negligible. The increasing environmental impact from growing consumption and waste may not be stoppable through technological advancement alone. Evaluating the value of materials through life cycle analysis also seems to have adverse effects on students' approaches to design. Students often take a black and white stance on materials such as plastics and treat them as an evil material to be avoided at all costs. Yet they might be completely oblivious to the pitfalls of ceramics because they are seemingly natural materials. They perceive materials without a critical understanding of the various contexts within which materials embody ethical, cultural, and aesthetic value. Professor Jonathan Allen at the University of Sydney finds that the perception of material evolves with a mixture of more advanced knowledge, cultural, political, and environmental impact, meanings, and habits, as well as depending on its overuse and the way the recycling system works. Rather than relegating the important valuing of objects to technical subjects in design education, the interconnectedness between objects, environment, and people was emphasized in teaching the Global Production Studio. For fall 2018, the studio looked at the Sustainable Development Goals set by the UN in 2016. In particular, goal number 12, responsible consumption and production, provided an opportunity to examine and expand the notion of sustainability and responsibility. Students were asked to explore the way a designer, a manufacturer, and a consumer might become more responsible for not only sustaining the way we live without harming the environment, but more importantly, for challenging the value of our material culture and changing our wasteful attitude and behaviors. At the introduction of the studio, I emphasized that the studio was not about producing a sustainable design, in as much as about questioning ecological concerns within a globalized world through exploring material culture. For this, the studio examined the relationship between designed things, environments, and people to address the idea of consumption and responsibility. The students were given four thematic areas as entry points. Theme 1, Reviving the Old, would explore the intersection of contemporary crafts and digital productions. What values from craft practice might help us to challenge our ubiquitous consumption and responsible production of things and suggest a new way of imbuing objects with more emotional value? Theme 2, Mining the City, questioned how to reduce and recycle waste and raise awareness of our wasteful lifestyle and provoke us to change. Theme 3, Growing the Future, explored the ways we might grow things utilizing biomaterials and digital processes in the future. Theme 4, Caring for Other Species, questioned the implications of human activity on other species and proposed possibility ways of building symbiotic relationships amongst living things. These themes were challenged and developed by students over the course of the semester. Sheep, like other farming animals, are selectively bred for commercial benefits. Pointing out how inherently dangerous this is, Juliet Van Haren proposed a way in which wools from a wide variety of commercially undesired sheep could be utilized. By engaging local farmers within New York State, she collected raw wools from various types of sheep and turned them into textured yarns, which were woven together into upholstery textiles. Each counting sheep stool was labeled with the information from which a type of sheep wool came. Further developing this idea as her MFA thesis project, she designed Wool on Wheels, a biodegradable and recyclable drivable toy car entirely made of a byproduct of sheep farming. Its seat was made of wool from 8 endangered sheep species. The materials for its handles, wheels, and buttons are from the sheep's milk, and the shell structure was made of agricultural waste. The website for this product communicated and advocated the importance of biodiversity. As technologies develop at alarming speed, electronics become more affordable to a growing number of people. For example, TV sets are becoming thinner and larger with better screen quality at falling prices. These rapid changes create a perception of last year models as outdated and inferior, thus promoting people to discard perfectly functioning TV sets. According to the Global E-Waste Monitor 2017, while e-waste continues to grow, its recycling rate is merely 20%. When an estimated 25 million televisions become obsolete every year in the US alone, its recovery of recyclable materials is dismal. Nevra Kumova explored the idea of new quickly becoming old through her design for TV, which asked how we recognize the value of materials beyond fashionable, state-of-the-art technological advancement. With reference to Daniel Whale's Radio in a Bag, designed in 1981, Kumova's TV scene becomes transparent only when it is turned off, exposing its inner components. It displays a complex electronic system comprising a speaker, antenna, input and output devices, a remote control receiver, computer chips, and cables. Like Whale's Radio, TV scene expands and brings forward the magical quality of technologies. Displaying intricate components that are sourced from different parts of the world may have people to appreciate the materiality behind the magic of TV more. In this way, it urges people to be more responsible for the precious materials they may discard every 4 years. Window, designed by Xian Huang, is an interactive mirror that enables us to see the effects of drought or heavy rainfall through real-time observation in our bathrooms. If one lives in a place where plenty of water is supplied, the seriousness of drought escapes our minds. There are measures attempting to reduce water consumption, such as displaying water usage in graphs on a water bill. Zihan sought another way to appeal to people to foster more consciousness on the effects of weather globally. One can see the descending waterline of the Los Angeles Silver Lake, desertification in Mexico, or a failing rice field in Japan. It communicates how this phenomena might cause a trickle effect on your health, food, and your living conditions. Through this mirror, one can visit different parts of the world where your parents, cousins, or friends might live and affect it. By telling such a story, this mirror invites users to feel and act upon climate changes and water consumption. Benjamin Kapoor brought vegetables and fruits out of the refrigerator and into a small vegetal landscape in a living room. In the USA, food waste is the largest single source of waste. We tend to think that keeping produce in a refrigerator may prolong their longevity and freshness. Yet, different vegetables and fruits require different temperatures and humidity levels. Also, often we forget what's inside of the deep piles of food in our refrigerators. Kapoor's experiments suggest that some vegetables last longer at room temperature, kept in sand, or submerged in water. Rather than keeping them within a kitchen or dining room, Kapoor proposed to bring vegetables and fruits to a living room. The undulating surface of his side table accommodates water for herbs, sand for root vegetables, and ventilated containers for fruits. It acts as a landscape reminding people of the natural conditions for vegetation and drawing people closer to what they eat, in addition to avoiding waste. Abe Weisman explored the potential of a 3D ceramic printer for production. Digital production eliminates several steps in the manufacturing of ceramic wares in comparison with processes like slip casting, thus saving energy, time, and costs. Challenging the notion of standardization and perfection in industrialized objects, his project takes advantage of variables and imperfections that occur during 3D printing due to its own set of limitations. The printer extrudes the clay in a continuous, uninterrupted motion, like drawing without lifting a pencil, so it cannot print objects with holes in them. Due to gravity, a printed piece tends to sag when a certain height of material is reached. The diameter of clay extrusion is several millimeters, which makes it too imprecise to produce small details sharply. The uneven drying process of clay as it is being printed also contributes to a slight deformation of each final piece. Highlighting these idiosyncrasies, Abe's ceramic collection imbues a rather craft-like quality than it does that of a machine-made object, begging the question of new aesthetics of mass production. Samsung recently announced their plan to introduce a bezel-less HD TV at size 65 inches in early 2020. In order to remove the bezel, the screen is welded to the body, which reduces the possibility for recycling. Not having a bezel may offer a cinematic immersive experience. Technically, there's no problem with the bezel around a TV, but there's a problem with people's desire for the new. Such a technological dream is disconnected from the reality of ecological crisis. Clearly, a designer can design desirable things, but future designers should be desirable for changes that matters more than a bezel-less TV. We need ecological dreams. Ob- Objects are entangled in a dynamic living microcosm, as the author of Citizen Designer Veronique Vienne asserts. Susan Sanesi, the director of design innovation at Metropolis magazine, echoes Vienne in her writing Ethical Design Education. If we are to survive, we need to switch to ecological systems thinking, which considers interconnectedness and relationship. Thinking ecologically requires the design approach to expand objects' relations within the cultural, social, ethical, and political landscape. In this way, design education may prepare students to design more responsibly. While students examine full life cycle of objects to aid designing a circular economy and work with less harmful materials for environmental and human health, the design studio can also nurture them to critically engage with the agency of objects beyond their technological attributes. Technologies and science may offer us an optimistic view of decreasing the human impact on our natural environments. However, without shifting our relationship to designed things, our consumptive behavior may not change, and this may remain to be an obstacle to more ecological living. In the global production studio, students' work was not so much about providing technological solutions to reduce environmental pollutions as it was critiquing the way resources and other species are used for only commercial benefits, investigating ways objects might address ubiquitous consumption and communicating the immaterial value of objects so as to enable more responsible citizens. It was critical to investigate and communicate the ways objects, environments, and people are interconnected. When we selectively breed farm animals, we risk losing an entire species should they become vulnerable to diseases and climate changes. Products are made of components that are globally sourced and manufactured. If a TV were labeled with a list and weights of all its parts, the origins of their resources, health risks, financial values, and environmental impacts, like the way food labels do, it might help people to think twice about the consumption and waste generated by their desire of the new. Technologies are often magical. When seeing through the plastic bag of Daniel Well's radio in a bag, the radio's components plainly express the way they are mechanically arranged. Yet at the same time, the radio becomes even more mysterious as one sees that this collection of seemingly inanimate parts translates electricity into music. Forma Phantasma's Ori Streams similarly recontextualizes waste through a poetic gesture. By juxtaposing new materials with mined electronic components as ornamentation on furniture, the design invites people to be more attentive to what we consider waste as it casts weights in different light. In her reflections on sustainable design, Susan Senesi uses a three-legged stool as a metaphor for sustainability, which is supported by social equity, ecology, and economy. An industrial design studio in a university could cultivate students' responsible attitude towards ecological dream through challenging perceived value by creating more meaningful relationships between objects, environments, and people. Thank you.